What if your dreams weren't random, but a coded message about your final days? Imagine closing your eyes at night and glimpsing something so vivid, so hauntingly clear, that you wake up knowing it's more than a dream. It's a sign. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, believed that certain dreams could reveal the approach of life's final chapter, not as a curse, but as a gentle preparation of the mind and soul. Jung wasn't just a scientist. He was a deep explorer of the human unconscious, decoding symbols, archetypes, and the secret language of dreams. His work suggested that our psyche sometimes knows more than we consciously realize, and in rare moments, it sends us messages about what's coming. That includes the end of life itself. But here's the twist: these dreams aren't meant to scare you. They're often filled with meaning, closure, and even peace. They can help us face mortality with understanding instead of fear. Today we'll dive into Jung's fascinating theory about dreams that predict death and what they're really telling you. We'll uncover the symbols, the stories, and the deeper psychology behind them so you can understand not just the possibility of these dreams, but the gift they might hold. And trust me, you'll want to watch until the end, because the last type of dream Jung identified could completely change how you see your own future and how you choose to live today. Have you ever dreamed of packing your bags, boarding a train, or walking across a long bridge into the unknown? On the surface, it might seem like just another travel dream. But Carl Jung believed these images could mean something far deeper, especially when they appear near the end of life. In Jung's framework, this is called the archetype of transition. The unconscious mind often communicates in symbols, and travel is one of its most universal metaphors. Whether it's stepping onto a boat, flying to a distant city, or crossing a glowing bridge, these journeys often symbolize moving from one state of being to another. And when life is drawing to a close, they may represent the soul preparing to cross into whatever comes next. Think about it: in our daily lives, travel always marks a shift. We leave something familiar behind to enter a new landscape, sometimes exciting, sometimes scary. The psyche uses that same imagery when it's processing the ultimate transition, the passage from life into death. Let me give you a real example that still gives me chills. A cancer patient, just days before passing, told her family she had dreamed of buying a one-way train ticket to what she called the City of Light. She didn't seem afraid. She was calm, even smiling, as she described the platform, the warm glow, and the feeling of inevitability. 3 days later, she was gone. For her loved ones, that dream wasn't just a coincidence. It felt like a farewell one, wrapped in peace, not fear. And here's what's fascinating: Jung would say this wasn't prophecy in the supernatural sense. Instead, it was the psyche's way of preparing both the dreamer and those around them. By framing death as a journey, the unconscious offers a narrative we can emotionally understand, something that makes the incomprehensible just a little more bearable. It also raises a profound question for all of us. If your final dream was a journey, where would you be headed? Would it be to a place, or somewhere entirely new? And more importantly, what would you want to carry with you? Because according to Jung, the way we live shapes the way we dream, and perhaps even the way we leave this life. These symbolic departure dreams might just be the soul's way of saying, it's time to go home. Have you ever dreamed of someone you loved? Someone who's been gone for years. You see their face so clearly. You hear their voice not as a faint memory, but as if they're standing right there. And in the dream, it feels completely normal. Carl Jung believed that these encounters aren't just wishful thinking from the past. They could be the psyche's way of bridging two worlds. In his view, these dreams tap into what he called the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of symbols, memories, and archetypes that connects all human beings, living or dead. In the context of life's final chapter, these visitation dreams can carry profound meaning. They often happen near the end of life, offering the dreamer a sense of guidance, comfort, and above all, the feeling that they won't be walking into the unknown alone. Let me share one that still lingers with me. There was an elderly woman in hospice care, frail but alert. The night before she passed, she told her nurse about a vivid dream her husband, who had died 20 years earlier, was standing at the foot of her bed. He was smiling, wearing the same suit he wore on their wedding day. And he said just one thing: "It's time to come home." She described feeling no fear. In fact, she said it felt like the happiest moment she'd had in years. By morning, she was gone. Now, skeptics might call this a psychological coping mechanism, a final way for the brain to soften the blow of death. But Jung would remind us that the psyche doesn't deal in cold, clinical logic. It speaks in symbols that reach the deepest parts of who we are. Seeing a loved one in a dream isn't just comfort, it's a narrative that says, you're not alone. Someone is waiting for you. And here's something worth considering: in many cultures, from Native American traditions to ancient Greek beliefs, dreams of the departed are seen as actual messages, visitors crossing a threshold to prepare us for our own journey. Whether you believe they're real spirits or archetypal figures, their role is the same: to guide, to reassure, and to help us release our grip on this life. It makes me wonder, if you were to have such a dream, who would appear? Would it be someone you've lost, someone you miss, or perhaps someone you didn't expect, but who's been watching over you all along? Because in Jung's perspective, these encounters aren't just goodbyes, they're invitations. Invitations to step forward into a place where love doesn't end, it only changes form. Have you ever dreamed of floating on a calm ocean, or standing in a field of clouds that stretch endlessly in every direction? In the final chapters of life, these dreams often arrive quietly, like whispers from nature itself. Carl Jung believed that when natural elements dominate a dream, deep water, endless skies, glowing light, it's more than just scenery. These symbols are some of the most ancient in the human psyche. To Jung, they point towards something he called the self, the deepest, truest part of us. In these moments, the ego, with all its fears and struggles, begins to dissolve, and what's left is pure being. One story has stayed with me for years. A man in his late 70s in hospice care had been restless and afraid. Then one night, he dreamed he was lying in the middle of an endless turquoise sea. There was no wind, no waves, only stillness. He said he felt as if the water was holding him, carrying him somewhere safe. When he woke, he told the nurse, "I'm not scared anymore." 2 days later, he passed away peacefully. In Jung's view, this isn't just the brain calming itself. Water, clouds, and light have been universal metaphors for transformation for thousands of years. In myths from ancient Greece to indigenous American stories, these elements represent crossing into a larger reality, what some might call the eternal, the divine, or the infinite self. And think about it. Water is life's first home. We begin in the womb, suspended in fluid, and perhaps at the end, our dreams take us back to a place that feels just as safe. Light, too, appears in countless accounts of near-death experiences, a warm, enveloping glow that seems to erase every trace of fear. So when someone dreams of slipping beneath calm waves, or walking through clouds, or being surrounded by golden light, Jung might say, this is the psyche's way of rehearsing the final surrender. Not as defeat, but as a return, emerging with something greater than ourselves. I often wonder, if you were to have such a dream, would you fight to stay on the shore? Or would you let the water carry you? Because in the end, maybe that's the choice these dreams present, to resist the current. Or to trust it will take you exactly where you're meant to go. Have you ever had a dream where your entire life flashed before your eyes, not as random moments, but as a complete story? For some, in the final stretch of life, these dreams arrive with astonishing clarity. They play like a film reel from the earliest childhood memory to the most recent breath. And every frame seems to matter. Carl Jung saw this as no accident. To him, these life review dreams are the psyche's final act of synthesis, gathering every experience, every lesson, every triumph and mistake, and weaving them into a whole. It's the mind and soul working together to integrate a lifetime before taking the next step into the unknown. One hospice nurse shared a story that still gives me chills. A man in his 80s told her he dreamed of standing in a grand theater. On the stage, scenes from his life unfolded: his first kiss, the birth of his children, the arguments he regretted, the moments of kindness he almost forgot. In the dream, he wasn't just watching. He was feeling them all again: love, joy, regret, gratitude, like waves rolling through his heart. When he woke, he whispered, "It was beautiful, and I'm ready now." Jung would say these dreams are a gift. They are not a warning, not a punishment, but a chance for the soul to see itself clearly, stripped of ego, stripped of pretense. And in that clarity, something powerful happens: forgiveness. Not just for others, but for ourselves. Think about it. If you knew your life would be replayed before you left this world, how would you want that story to look? Would it be filled with love you gave freely, risks you dared to take, and moments where you stood up for what mattered? Or would it be haunted by the words you never spoke and the chances you never took? That's the hidden message in these dreams. They're a mirror showing us the story we've written, and sometimes giving us the rare chance to write a better ending while there's still time. In a way, this is the psyche's gentle reminder live, so that when the reel plays, you can watch it with a smile. Live so that when the curtain falls, you feel complete. So let me ask you, if tonight you dreamed of your life from start to finish, what would you see? And would it make you proud? So, what does all of this really mean? Carl Jung believed that dreams aren't just random nighttime images. They are the living language of the soul. They speak in symbols, emotions, and archetypes that bypass the noise of our waking mind. And when they arrive near the end of life, they often hold the deepest truths we'll ever receive. If you've ever woken from a dream that felt more real than reality itself, one that stayed with you all day, almost whispering in the background, you know exactly what Jung was talking about. Maybe it was a reunion with someone you've lost. Maybe it was a journey to a place that felt like home, even though you've never been there before. Or maybe it was a vision so vivid, you couldn't shake the feeling it was trying to tell you something important. And that's the question I want to leave you with. Have you ever had a dream so vivid you wondered if it was trying to tell you something? Because if Jung was right, your soul might already be speaking to you. It's just a matter of whether you're listening. In our next episode, we're going even deeper. We'll explore near-death visions and why Jung believed they're not just hallucinations, but windows into the deepest part of the self. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. So if you found value in today's journey through the hidden world of dreams, here's what to do next. Like this video so more people can discover it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when the next episode drops. And in the comments, share your own dream story, whether it's mysterious, comforting, or even unsettling. Your story might be exactly what someone else out there needs to hear tonight. Remember, every dream is a message. And sometimes the most important ones come when we're closer to the threshold than we realize.